Let's see how I look with my hat on. There. Gotta have it tilted. These flowers, I love when they bloom at night. They look so pretty for some reason. With the moonlight. Nice. There's some type of buggy there. It's a yellow. Oops, it flew off. So instead of being anyway, these bloom, 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 bloom. Somebody said my yard looks good. Oh, some of it stuff is reblooming. Let's see. Silly hat. I had this on my walk today. Oh, that was dirt. Lovely. A little bump there, but it was dirty. Little dirt. I'm probably like, I don't care what my hair looks like. But anyway, this is my hat. It seems like we have an interesting way that the Republicans are handling their situation. Um, I guess the way they handle the situation is trying to undo everything. How do they do that? That make me look fat. Trying to undo everything that was done by Trump. I mean, by Obama. And now he's even blaming Obama for the light. He's blaming Obama for the Russian involvement that Trump and his family are involved in, and their Chinese connection too. The only thing I see a big problem is I see like some people might be thrown under the bus, like they try to throw Obama, like Doris Day, because it's not. You really can't do a favor for some folks, because the con artists, they're they you know they're not nice people. They're not decent people. They make money at the expense and the heartaches of other people. They We talk about China and how their inhumane acts towards their citizens, uh, um, the harsh treatment um, that they and the low wages and the lack of like the freedom of speech, simple thing, even a child, what are you gonna do? Put a 2-year-old in jail if they have a different opinion than the state? So like, so those type of things, the Republicans seem to favor. And I mean, by the way, they don't want to have cameras in the briefing, in the White House briefing anymore. It's like a page from China and Russia. Russia is a little bit smarter in the way they do things. Um, they don't know everything. Um, and in the way that I think that we have handled our business, that we have surprised people that are just smart, but not in the same such a destructive, deceitful, narcissistic way. And being a narcissistic is not the only human type of behavior. It's dark there too. Um, that reminds me. I shouldn't even go. Reminds me of a story that I used to hear when I was a kid, and it was about when the white man came, and that a lot of, especially white races and a lot of black folks, and um, the word nigger, like to the people that was got invaded by these white folks. Well, let me pull back. When they showed up, these white people, they showed up. They had been on boats. They had scurvy, which is like open sores and skins. Which some of these lesions and open sores and skin got infected and turned into, so they say, like a disease that like a gangrene where parts would fall off. Scary, right? Um, so have your vitamin C, oranges, lemons, and other citric pineapples, and you won't get scurvy. And I like my vitamin C. Uh, but like just in case, like you find out later on that you do need the vitamin C for your good skin. But anyway, getting back to the story, what happens when these white folks showed up from Europe off of their ships? There was people here. There was a civilization, if you can believe it or not, and they just busted into their homes and dragged them out. Killed them, hanged them, uh, cooked them at the stake because these people with cannabis, um, and uh, because they couldn't think. But anyway, so as the story goes along, that there was black folks here, and that when the white folks came, like they just started like slaughtering everything, killing everything, and then the powers that be over in London thought, well, this is good because we'll get them civilized, or we'll not get them civilized. We'll get rid of all the wild animals. They had a fight against nature. God forbid if a lion really became a king, you know, over people. All this like that, lions and bears and tigers and all those and gorillas and chimpanzees, they do not have the same type of brain structure as the humans. So their idea of ruling is over their food and their shelter, like their land, that's it. Their stomach, their intake, and their survival. But anyway, so they went in there and mastered these people, and they had their property, and and they were like pretty 100% sure that these were the people they've been following. That was from Egypt and this one particular group from Nigeria. So these uneducated Caucasian people that came over from Europe uh, called them uh, uh, niggers. Like when they mispronounce it, they're not Nigerians. Like your Negroes from Nigeria. So like a lot. So like today, they have used our past and twisted it, supposedly as the story goes, as a way to shame and humiliate us, as it was a way to have people hanging from trees and sticking on stakes after they've been burned up, because they would burn some of the people like for witches because them like again these people were a civilization that had a good understanding of science and math. So but see that reminds me of you know like the way the Republicans are. It's like they are the ones that believe the lie. I do believe there was people here uh, before the white man came. There was civilization. That they had food, clothing, and shelter, and that they understood science and math for their survival. Like one of the things that the story goes is when some of them escaped, and they escaped south because if you would go up north, like, and you got to New York or someplace, they would gather you up, and Wall Street area, they would just sell you off, or if you went to the wrong place, you would end up being captured and chained and sold into servitude. Because the simple fact is, once they took like some of the property they took, because they had been city dwellers and living off of rats and among rats and the way they was living with their livestock in the same dwelling as them, and these people, it was not their custom. They was clean folks. It didn't take long for them to be filled, like these white people that took over and killed them, to be filled with filth and the fields to go barren. And a good best example is like the Dust Bowl, after they slaughtered everybody. You know how they slaughtered the buffalo? They killed Crazy Horse, slaughtered all the Indians, had them. Uh, uh, the saying there is that they were going up to South Dakota because they were That's where they had their gold deposit, up where you have Mount Rushmore behind there. The Indians had their gold, and they didn't want to show them where they had the gold. Uh, and uh, but it was found anyway. Um, and they slaughtered them as for sports, you know. But anyway, so we still have, to me, we still have that same type of hostile thinking, that self-destructive thinking, that rape and pillaging, you know, the lies, the deceit, the covering up, the belittling, you know, the making women objects uh, for of sex, um, which which was the worst sin they could ever have done. Um, and that had involved actually the church in trafficking. They were one of the biggest human traffickers and land grabbers. Um, they were so anyway. So as today we have people that I believe that their answers didn't pass on the truth to them. The truth got lost even to these white racists like Trump, like Pence, you know, of the true origin of how the history of the United States is. You know, and you can see it in school. We mostly learn about the only like we only hear about the Civil War. Oh, you know, they can't even say Colombia, but you know it's very limited. It's more we'll go into more European War I, World War II, instead of like concentrating on the wars we had like the Bay of Pigs, you know, Vietnam, Korea. We have a long history in the United States of also having war. As for the people that Caucasian European people that came over here were warmongers and continued their activities. And today we have a sick, twisted society that's the result of Jim Crow, the result of like harsh type of treatment, like the Republicans have, like with their health care bill and their budget bill. It's not going to benefit the majority of the citizens of the United States. It's only geared to benefit a few and to make those people more wealthy. And I think that it comes to a time, and their wealth is so greedy that they're not leaving their wealth in the United States. You know, Trump and his son Kessler and Steve Medler and Flint and you know a majority of the associates that not Clint, that Trump has rather, um, all have associates with China, some dealing with not China, Russia and China, dealing in their banks, either having China manufacturing, you know, like Trump's ties and Ivanka, whatever the hell she's trying to sell, her clothes lining or shoe lining or whatever it is, jewelry. So, and you can see by the real estate business they had that they mostly have failed. Um, Paid too much and gone bankruptcy. So their business ideas is that of somebody that is a con artist that is too greedy and doesn't have the patience, nor do they care to gather the knowledge or the understanding to do business in such a way that it'll prosper them and not hurt other people. The way they do business now causes a lot of harm and devastation, and it's versus on treason, espionage, it's like spying, you know, giving information from the United States, from like I figure they have Flint, so he could give information that's top secret and doesn't go to the Russia. And we forget about that one guy that is in Russia now for stealing computer hacking information. You know, so there is what's his name? He's an American guy. He worked for the anyway. He was able to get download on another disk that he took home all the information on the United States top secret information on everything. I guess. What's his name? Spin. It's on the tip of my tongue. Mind. But anyway, I believe that he got a hold of information gave to WikiLeaks to um, um, on how to hack our elections because they are so fragile. Like a fraction. Like we fractured. In the sense that each state has a different way of doing things, and uh, we're not a unified uh, um, country anymore, and the lies we just now found out that Columbus never did make it to the shores of the United States. It was in Puerto Rico, and again, so there was people there. So I'm not disputing that the church and like if you like who and like you could see that the church has a lot of writing ups over the time how they was trafficking people, uh, you know um, and they were big in the sex industry, trafficking one of the number ones. You can see that today if you look back at pedophiles in the church or priests that have been convicted of doing time for having sex with children or whatever. You can look that up, Google it. It's a lot, um, and it's a shame. And it's one of those things that because of the way the shame, the devastation, the way that they played up on a basic uh, uh, pain as a parent is that you do fail your child. Anyway, all I gotta say now is that we're at the point where all the lies are just festering like a boil full of pus and other type of and when I say pus, you just imagine like the white blood cells that fight off uh, uh, invasions of other diseases and whatnot in your blood. Like when they die, they turn into like a pus, right? So um, it's like taking giving plasma. It's like taking on the plasma, And now you have something that festers up. It doesn't have immune system, and is prone to catching any type of diseases. Sort of like you might say that the epidemic of HIV is gone uh, viral to our psychic, and you know what I mean? Because like we have a poison, where it's okay for police to shoot black people, even if they're on the police department. Black people are not going to be aroused. They're not going to say anything. They feel powerless, which they're not. But as long as black people whoop their kids, get a poor education and poor diet, and are sexually active in such a hostile environment that we live in, well, I don't know. They'll be playing the violin as the motherfucking United States burns down. But I think there is hope. And all we have to do is change our diets and educate our kids. Bring music and the arts and science and math back to our children.